Okay. Back again with my ugly mug. So, anyway, this video is not going to be for children. Let me just say that right off the bat. I am watching a documentary on my computer. It is called Surviving Jeffrey Epstein. And I tell you, it just pisses me the fuck off. It really does. That man and so many other people were doing what they were doing. I mean, think about it. Think about being trapped in a human trafficking. I mean, that's exactly what it was. And, you know, everybody can say what they want about, well, those girls should have known better. Or, well, no, they didn't. Because most of those girls had horrible childhoods, had parents that weren't really for them and on their side. So any little bit of attention or anything that they could consider, you know, good, happy, friendly, they jumped in head first. And, you know, it's not their fault. It is not their fault at all. He knew exactly what the fuck he was doing. And the people that was there with him and the time that he spent at Mar-a-Lago with everyone that was there as well. You can't tell me that any of the people affiliated with him did not know what the fuck he was doing. They knew, and they took part in it as well. It's really hard to believe, you know. You used to hear about this shit, like when I was younger, you'd hear about this shit in other countries, you know. There was even a scare in my adult years about don't go to Mexico. They'll, you know, kidnap and rape and use white women and white babies as slaves. And that was bad enough. And that was only if you went there. If you went into Mexico, that would happen. You know, but this shit is happening in our own backyards. And, you know, I wasn't a survivor of Jeffrey Epstein, but I was a survivor of sexual abuse as a child. You know, and it was a close family member. It was, you know, my grandfather. And I only use those air quotes because I don't consider him my the first time that he did that to me was the day that my grandfather died. I refer to him usually as my mom's dad or my aunt's dad, instead of calling him grandfather. I mean, it just that was no more. And that was a part of my life when it happened that I can't change, and I can't forget it. It just it does not go away. I was 12. Yeah, and it went on for 2 years. And I went to school, and I told a classmate about it. And the next thing I know, I was being called into the counselor's office and questioned about the incidents. Because of what was reported to her by, you know, a fellow student. I was so mad. I was furious. I could not believe that she went and told them, because I knew what the reaction of my family was going to be when it came out. He was my Sunday school teacher, and throughout those 2 years when I would move to different Sunday school classes, he would move to those Sunday school classes as well. And the next thing I know, my mom was at work. Me and my brother were home. And we lived right next door to him. Right next door. And next thing I know, state troopers are in the driveway. One was knocking on his door. One was knocking on my door. I opened the door. He came in. They told me about the information. It was forwarded to them. I spilled the beans, told him everything. I was scared shitless because I knew once they left, I was afraid that I was going to be like the sitting duck once they left. There would be nobody to protect me, nobody to defend me. And he would do these things, and he would tell me, don't bother trying to tell anybody because they're not going to believe you. He was very well respected in the community and very well respected in the church. And he was right. Nobody would believe me. No one would take my word, a kid, against him, who was like I said, well respected. Everybody looked up to him. He was a wonderful man. He was a wonderful man that changed my life and ruined that part of my life. And I'll never be that way again. It just can't, I just can't. It's beyond my control. They suggested that I go to therapy. And I told them that they can stick it up their ass because I'm not the one that has the problem. He has the problem. We were supposed to go meet at the state police barracks for me to do a polygraph. And I went, and about 10 minutes after I was there waiting to be taken back for my polygraph, they came out and told me that he refused to take his polygraph test. And they told him that him refusing to take it is an admission of guilt. And he wouldn't take it. He refused. And I begged them, please, just let me take it. Let me take it and speak my mind. And they reassured me that there was no need for that. So anyway, he was charged. They did not feel that any type of incarceration was needed. Of course, in my mind, that wasn't justice. That wasn't justice in my mind. It was never spread around. People didn't know about it. It was so bad that my own mother and family members didn't believe me. I had 2 family members. They were my uncles through marriage, that no longer would let me come to their home because they were afraid that I would tell the same lie on them as I told on him. And that sucks. That sucks when you're told that. My mother, rest her soul, sent me to stay at my uncle's, her brother, and his wife, so my aunt and uncle. She sent me to them, and she told them, don't send her back until you get the truth out of her. And she told them, if you got to beat it out of her, do it. Well, I never had any conversation regarding this with my uncle. My aunt, however, we talked about it. She believed me. I don't know about my uncle, which was, my mom's brother. I don't know whether he did or not because I never had any interaction or communication with him about it. So there was no beating the truth out of me. That just didn't happen. And when I went back home after a couple days, my mother told me that I need to drop this lie and quit saying this shit. Well, there was really no need for me to still talk about it because they weren't going to believe me anyway, so, fuck it, right? Instead of making it harder and harder to be dealing with people that didn't believe me, I figured there's just no sense. There's no sense in this now. It is what it is. It happened. I have to deal with it. So, a couple weeks later, I got a letter in the mail, and it was from him. And in the letter, he admitted that he knows what he did to me, and he knows that it was wrong, and to not blame myself for what had happened. I made sure family members saw that letter. I felt like that's what needed to happen for them to believe me. Now, I'm going to back up a little bit here. The night before we were to go to the state police barracks, earlier in that day, the day before, I was sitting outside on the deck. There were two sets of steps on the deck. One went out to the front part of the yard. The other one went out into the driveway that was their driveway. My mom came to me that morning and she said, I know you didn't lie. I know this is true, what you're saying. She said that no one said anything to her. She said, but I knew. For some reason at that point, she knew that I was telling the truth. Then, a little bit later that day, my mom, as I called her, was on her swing, and I could hear it creaking, and she knew I was out on our porch also. I spent most of my time outside because if I was outside, I didn't have to deal with my parents or anyone else. So I would be outside for hours on end. She said, Kathy, you over there? And I said, yeah. And she said, come here a minute. Come sit on the swing with me. And that's something her and I used to do all the time. And when this came out, that didn't happen a lot. So I thought it was odd that all of a sudden she was asking me to come over and sit beside her. Like we used to do before all this came out. So anyway, I said, yeah. And I went over, sat on the swing with her. And we were swinging for, a few minutes. And she says to me, get rid of those hiccups. There we go. Excuse me. And she says to me, I want to let you know I believe you. I believed you from the beginning. I know you didn't lie. I know that he did this to you. And I said, what makes you think that? And she said, he's my husband. I know him. And I know he did this to you. And here I am. I was 12 years old. he would call me, tell me to come over. His words were, "I've got some more stuff for you." So, as the things were going on with him, when he was done, he would say to me, "You did good. Look what you made me do." And he would nod towards himself, the bottom area of the front of him, his I can't think of the word, his genitalia. And when I looked, each time I had to look, he always made me look, and each time I looked, there was, of course, a wet looking spot on the front of his pants. And he seemed to be quite proud about making me look at it and knowing that that's what happened. So anyway, this many years later, I am 48. And this many years later, it still affects me. And I kind of got this thing where, I'm not saying that I'm psychic, but I can meet someone and know if they've done that. I don't know why. It's just something that I pick up on. So anyway, be kind to children. Please do not tell them they lied when they need you the most. But anyway, that's all the bullshit I have for you today. Hope you are well. Hope you stay well. Believe your kids. The world's hard enough. And it's worse when they have to go through bullshit. They need someone to love them unconditionally. So that's all I got to say. Feel free to comment. That's all. Bye.